Today we're coming to you from Limerick, a city which has changed hugely in recent decades, especially along the riverfront here at the city centre. Some things, however, don't change, like the great solidity of King John's Castle, though even it has evolved in its usage. Some 40 years ago, council houses stood in the castle yard here behind the great walls, and we came along to meet a lady who was prominent in the campaign to stop the local council from pulling those houses down. Mrs. Catherine Spratt is one of the grand old ladies of Limerick. She has spent most of her 81 years in this city, through war, poverty and change. These are some of her memories and opinions, and some views of Mrs. Spratt's Limerick.
I was born in 1889. It's the 3rd day of November. I was 3 years of age. See, when my mother died, she left the 8 of us. 9 of us, but 2 died, and 7 remained. After my mother died when we stopped for a while, my father married again. He got married again. Well, we got a very nice stepmother. Then she died. He married again. The 3rd time. Well, the 3rd woman was a very nice woman too. But she died before him and got buried in the Mount St. Lawrence. There was a terrible lot of poverty. People had nothing. They had like 2 shillings a week, managed that as good as they could. There was no right wages. No. There were no right wages. There was a terrible lot of hardship. Poor women and men with families had nothing. Hunger. They had nothing, nowhere to get it. No one to give it to them. There was no such as the thing as outdoor relief. Nothing like that. And if it was, if you got 1 sixpence, or 2 sixpence rather, to be as much as you get.
Will we ever see days like those again?
No, we won't see them days no more. There'll be no more poverty, love. No more nothing like that. Because people are not going to look behind them anymore, only in front. We're going to walk in front the whole time. And whoever will walk backwards like the postman, the Republic won't. We won't. No, not in Ireland, with the help of God. No. Well, what I think for Limerick is it should be better all the time, love. It should be getting what it deserves. Limerick deserves a lot because there were great people in it, and great city.
But would you not think it would be too very modern for you?
I know. No. Because at my age, I still feel only a young girl of 16. At my age. I never think of my age, never. Never, no. I like everything modern, thanks be to God. We've all know modern times now, and that's better.
Well, we're back here in King John's Castle to meet the wonderful Mrs. Spratt's grandson, Simon. Your grandmother, Simon, she was actually at the centre of that whole campaign to save the houses, which used to be around the fringe of the castle yard here.
Yes, indeed, she was. She really believed in that sense of community, and she was at the centre of it. She was basically fighting for their rights to remain as a community and to remain in local employment.
But she also had a business, a shop.
She had a shop just opposite here to the castle, and she actually employed at 1.6 men. Yes.
Doing what?
They were bundling sticks together in a sort of an early form of firelighter, which she came up with herself. Sticks bundled around sawdust, which she found, well, why waste it, and she put some creosote around that.
And what was it that she saw as being so valuable in the community here and in this little village, really, in the castle yard?
Well, what she believed in, Michael, was a real sense of mettle. She was a country girl herself who came to the city and saw all of the opportunities that were here. Nicholas Street was such a thriving place, and she could see from the back of her house, she could see the mighty River Shannon and the city, which was full of industry.
And in time, she actually passed away in the house here?
Yes, she did. When she was 85, she passed away. She was very fondly remembered, and my parents went on to live in the house. And then in turn, my formative years were in 15 Castle Barracks.
And so she was successful in her battle to save the houses for her lifetime anyway.
Yes, definitely. And for her, she saw that she kept the people together, the community together, and she kept all of her family in one place. That was vital for her.
Well, she wouldn't know it, of course, but it was in '89 that the houses were in fact demolished and an archaeological dig began here.
Yes.
Already uncovered is an early Christian wall from 800 AD, a sunken Viking house from the late 10th century, and a curtain wall from the 13th. The builders involved in the restoration work have now been replaced by archaeologists, who will be backed up this week by an additional team of 10 who will continue the delicate excavations.
In local terms, it's very important. In national terms, it's very important. And even in international terms, in the quality of the Viking house that we have found, and the possibility that the areas we haven't excavated, there would be more evidence of Viking remains.
This week, it's back to the drawing board for the planners of King John's Castle restoration. From an archaeological point of view, the castle is sitting on a vast treasure. What was to have been just a museum now looks like being a national treasure in its own right.
And John Ruddle is Chief Executive of Shannon Heritage. John, in our archive film there we saw the first archaeological dig, but others followed.
That's right, Michael. There was another dig in the early 90s, 91, 92, headed up by Seely Rahilly with Limerick City Council, and another one then from 93 to 96 by Kenny Wiggins, another archaeologist. And those two finds were very, very significant, because what they did was they threw up all sorts of items that dated back to the siege period, and they gave us a great insight into what was happening in and around the castle in the 1640s right through to the 1680s. So very, very interesting stuff thrown up.
What sort of items would you found?
Well, there was all sorts of things. There was human remains even found, because there's some mass graves dating back to the siege. But more interesting stuff would have been things like bone, earthenware, jugs, all sorts of bits and pieces.
And what was the concept that Shannon Heritage was promoting when lovely old Mrs. Spratt felt her house was being threatened?
Uppermost in our mind in Shannon Development and Shannon Heritage, and of course the council would very much believe this as well, that the protection of that space is very important for the longer run. So there isn't another plan to put buildings in there, for instance. The plan is to restore it back to a proper castle courtyard, and for many, many years to come that international visitors will come and enjoy that space. I think the bigger picture really at that stage, and we still believe this, is that tourism is very important to the region and to the city, and the space within the castle walls is really, really essential for visitors, both internationally and domestically, to come and enjoy the castle. So that was both the archaeological reason, so that people could dig freely within the castle walls, but also the bigger picture of tourism. And of course that's proved to be the right decision, because thousands and thousands of visitors now come every year to enjoy the castle, and particularly the courtyard area.
In the 1960s, one of Limerick's claims to fame was that it was the home of what were then the country's only surviving quadtuplets. The O'Connell quadtuplets were born in Palace Green in 1965 to their proud mother, Eileen. And those little babies have become these four adults. We have Ger, we have Margaret, we have Catherine, who has special needs and is a resident here at Lisnagraw, a facility in Limerick run by the Daughters of Charity, and Paul. Ger, to come to you, we saw you there as little children. You've no direct recollection of it, but what did you learn afterwards? What was the excitement like when you got back to Palace Green, your home area?
Well, Michael, as I said, we didn't actually realise that we were celebrities, as you say yourself. But just probably when we got older, I realised there was something happening, right? And, you know, we had our birthday, and just the press used to come out and take photographs. Didn't realise that we were, well, I won't say special, but we there was four of us together born, you know. So, and then So we created history, but as I said, that's only a tag, you know. So.
Now, it was a big challenge to your mum and dad, of course, a financial challenge, aside from anything else, and practically a full-time job raising 11 kids. So how did they handle that? How tough was it?
There was loads of help. I think everybody, all the neighbours helped. Everybody just pitched in and just helped out. And, you know, that time there was loads of big families, so we weren't the only one.
But your brother was telling me that occasionally an envelope would arrive from America or Canada or somewhere.
That's right. That was put into account, all right.
But that too, whereas I'm sure it was very welcome. It wasn't huge. Sums of money were very different then.
I said it was too small, all right, you know. Yeah. But it all helped.
Now, your dad sadly passed away when you were really very young.
We were 9 years of age at the time he passed away. That's 1975. So, and that's created a void in the family, all right, you know, and left my mother a tremendous job trying to keep the family going, you know. So, but in fair play to her, she you know, she worked at it, and she, only for her we wouldn't be here today, you know. So she kept us on our feet, you know. So.
Yeah, we never felt any different.
No.
I think that was a lot to do with the way my mother raised us. You know, we were just the same as everybody else. So it's, you know, I mean, it's great to have, you know, a big family around you at times, especially at Christmas.
My name is McNamara, I'm the leader of the band.
Around the same time as Limerick was welcoming the Quads, the final interview was recorded with the last member of